everything we need.
Wait, don't you go through the chart first and then you call so that you have to call the physician like twice?
Yeah, so what I do is I look at the order and I see, okay, we have date ordered, right? We have the type of study, and we have, or we don't have the signature. And since we're missing that, I'm going to keep that in mind. And for your assessment, I like to write it down just to make sure you don't forget. So, no order. Star that bad boy. Okay, so then you go through the chart because when you call a doctor, the chance of them knowing who you're talking about is pretty slim because they have however many patients a day, and you say AC Slater, even though that's kind of an easy to remember name, they probably won't know who it is.
You're like, who the hell are you
So I
talking
go through
about?
the chart first, so when they don't know who it is, you can kind of refresh their memory and say whatever things you can pick out. See, this is the awkward part because I'm just reading.
That's okay.
I'm reading too.
So already on one of the pages, I see the paragraph that talks about a sleep cocktail.
Yep.
Hydrocodone, melatonin, dextromethorphan, cough syrup. So already that's something that I would like to write down because that's pretty rough.
Cough syrup with a couple of cocktails.
Yeah, it's a sleep cocktail is fine.
You have like a step.
I'm sure the doc will understand what you're talking about.
Sounds like some nights he puts himself into a coma.
Yeah. 10 to 11 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So he really only takes that if he feels like he's been sleeping poorly, so at least it's not every night. His wife notes his loud snoring and pausing and breathing. So already we're thinking OSA.
Ex-wife?
Ex-wife. And his girlfriend. We're learning a lot about this guy.
Both at the same time?
Yeah, well, that's why it's the ex-wife. Malampati 3. Again.
Say that?
What?
Like we can just say that's like an indication for OSA.
Malampati 3?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you be able to?
Because we're not like to diagnose. Like,
It's not your scope of practice.
Well, I'm not the one who said he has a Malampati 3. This is the doctor
Yeah.
saying it. So
Oh,
they're
okay.
telling me the information, so I'm just using that
Okay.
to kind of figure out my patient a little bit.
okay.
As long as I don't tell him.
No, we can just say that's a risk for, say.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't tell him that he's a Malampati 3, but you
Yeah.
would know yourself. Just like medications, you're going to know medications if you're not giving
Yeah.
them to him or telling him what to take and what not to take. So it says in the second paragraph on the right-hand side that he has a clock that projects the time on the ceiling, which is not something that we would talk about with the patient. That's not really our scope of practice. But for us, we would know that knowing the time when you're awake kind of creates some sort of anxiety because you're thinking, you know, it's 4 a.m. You say I have 3 hours of sleep, and you kind of get anxious about that. So
Which page is this on now?
This one.
This one.
Oh, we're still on the second one?
This one.
This.
I don't know how to describe it.
Is this one?
Yep. Keep turning right there.
This one?
Yep, right there.
Yeah, so second paragraph. So for someone like that, if I were a doctor, I'd recommend not having the clock in there, but
Could you say that?
I would
To
not. You
your
do not say
instructor?
that.
Like to who's assessing you?
Yeah, I think that's something that's good to know. But you don't.
Because isn't it that's like affecting his sleep because he's like
Watching
counting
the
the
clock.
time? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
2
So
hours
he's
out.
aware of how much sleep he is or isn't getting, and then he starts to get
Yeah.
anxious about it, and that could be why he has a hard time falling back asleep.
Okay.
But don't tell your patient that. It's rude. He watches TV before bed. Same thing that can cause him to stay awake because the blue light from the TV keeps them up. His bedtime is pretty late, 12:30. So for someone like this, if I had this patient, I would remind them that there is a certain bedtime for the sleep lab, because a lot of places want everyone to be in bed at, say, like 11. So I would tell them you have to be in bed by 11. And depending on how the lab is, sometimes they'll allow people to just kind of stay up as long as you're recording. Other places they want them to try to sleep. So whatever way the lab is, you'd want them to
How
know.
did you say that to like during your assessment?
During your assessment?
Yeah, like was that like important to say? Like if you're sitting here with Mandy and you're like, because we don't know that, we had never been to a lab before.
Okay.
So.
Then I would simplify it,
Okay.
right? So you don't get in trouble. You say he has 12:30 a.m. bedtime. That's kind of late. So I would just make sure to remind him that we do have a bedtime here, 11. You have to be in bed by then.
Okay, and that's okay to say.
So that like when you ask them for bedtime, can we just say, okay, the doctor wants you in bed at this time because we want this.
We want to make sure what I always tell them is we want to make sure we get enough recording time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so when we're making notes, we're going to have certain ones that we're going to say to the doctor, and then there's going to be certain ones that we're going to say to the patient.
The stuff that you're keeping an eye on for the doctor is just to refresh their memory. So usually the stuff that I would tell the doctor is the bigger things, like
Stuff that he's going to remember.
Yeah, so sleep cocktail, he's here for OSA, he goes to bed late, he wakes up throughout the night, that sort of stuff.
Do you tell
He's a lawyer, so it's probably pretty easy to remember.
Yeah.
How about the working diagnosis? Do you tell the doctor that he's here for this, so they can?
Yeah, that would help too.
Okay.
Diagnosis is always probably the first thing you want to go with, and you kind of go through the other things like sleep cocktail. Whoever gets you to bed, I guess. And it says that he wakes up throughout the night periodically, which again, just something that's kind of good to expect throughout the study. So this paragraph is basically just talking about the sleep cocktail again.
Yeah, with a hydrocodone and all that.
They love that one. Okay. He denies sleep paralysis, hypnagogic hallucinations, or cataplexy. So already we're not thinking REM behavior disorder. Unless he says yes somewhere else.
Okay, is REM sleep disorder like REM behavior, narcolepsy?
No,
What exactly is that?
REM behavior disorder is when you act out your dreams.
Okay.
Narcolepsy is when the barrier between awake and sleep isn't really as strong as it should be, so you're more tired throughout the day, your sleep isn't restful. If you sit still, you might fall asleep.
Okay.
I don't think you guys have done that stuff yet.
I don't think so.
So if I say something they haven't done yet,
Point it out.
yeah,
Okay.
please.
Do we mention his weight change at all? Because it wasn't much, or...
You could. I mean, again, that's another sign they might have developed OSA.
Okay.
The increased weight put you at a higher risk category.
Okay.
Okay, now it's in the middle of the left-hand page. It's starting to talk about the caffeine that he consumes. A cup in the morning, during the day. Outside of that, he doesn't drink more coffee throughout the day, but it says moderately large quantities. So you just want to make sure that when you're talking to your patient with someone like that you know the last time they had caffeine. Because if they drink 16 ounces at 6 p.m., they're probably not going to fall asleep at 9.
I'd probably be up till like 4 a.m.
Yeah, and I would write that down in my tech notes
Okay.
when I was taking care of my patient, because putting them to bed and not falling asleep, I kind of give the doctor an idea why he pounded a monster before bed.
What about the working out vigorously every day? Again, ask him when he does that.
I mean,